Can we know God is real just by testimony? While I know some people get comfort from believing in a higher power, and it may seem like a dick move to look at videos like the one coming up because there's genuine emotion, it's also important to remember that the ability to believe in one thing without actual proof could also lead you to accepting something far worse without evidence. But there are also some important messages to do with reaching out for help that I wanted to address. So let's see if we can know that God is real with supposed encounters with Jesus. Hello, I'm the Skeptic. I watch videos on YouTube that make extraordinary claims, whether that's flat earth or strange conspiracies, but mostly the claim that a God is real, and then explain why I can't accept their position. Before we get into today's video, please do subscribe, hit that bell notification to be alerted for my next video, and drop a like. That would be brilliant. In this God Squad video, Jackie Mendoza, a YouTuber with nearly 10,000 subscribers, makes a part 2 video about her husband's encounter with Jesus. Whilst it is true that people can genuinely believe that their beliefs are true, when someone says that they know God is real because of X, is it good enough to accept as evidence for God? Just because there's an emotional attachment to the claims? Let's see the video first.
I just told him, if you're real, then I need to feel you.
I don't want to be that guy, though sometimes it can't be helped, but there are other videos on my channel talking about whether or not we can accept the Bible as the Word of God, so it's not a great start.
Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie. I post faith videos, lifestyle videos, and vlogs, and anything that I love. And I'm really excited for today's video because it's actually been the most requested video on my channel, which is more encounters with God. I posted part 1. It's a little crazy, but people loved it. So yeah, people just are curious and they were like super excited about that video. So I'll be linking that down below if you haven't watched it. But today I decided to bring my husband because he's definitely had some crazy encounters with God, and we're gonna be sharing some crazy encounters that you guys might think were crazy, but
I don't think anyone would think they're crazy, especially when many religious folk have been taught to believe what they believe. It's been so ingrained that they genuinely feel that this is the truth. What I like to do is discover why they think it's the truth.
I'm Josh. My title is husband. And yeah, she told me a few weeks ago, she's like, hey, start thinking about some of the, I want to do a video people are requesting on encounters with God. So I don't know if it was just crazy encounters I had with God, or if it was how to have encounters with God. And so she told me, think of a few encounters that you've had with God, kind of the ones that really stand out to you. I had a chance to drive and think and pray and think about the encounters I had with God. And the one that really stood out, and I feel like it's the one that needs to be shared, was my first encounter with God.
You'd hope that the first encounter would be the most compelling. Fingers crossed that this one is undeniable proof.
When I finally came to the end of the ruckus that I was causing, definitely had encounters as kids. When I was a kid, I mean, just weird stuff, like just weird little stories where God was just showing a kid that he was with them. And I have plenty of those. I mean, I had something so specific one time when I was a kid.
Preamble, okay. Can't we just get to the story?
That album was like, God, I really, really want to wear this certain number for football. Remember I told you the story? And I, for some reason that year, I don't know why, I wanted to wear either number 13 or number 36. Don't know why. That's what I wanted. And I remember we were at church. It was on a Saturday. We were at church on a Saturday. I don't know if it was an event. I don't remember if we were doing something for the community. But either way, I was going to be late to go pick up my jersey to get my number. And I remember just being really upset, but then also being like, God, I really want 13 and 36. I was a kid, maybe like 10. And we drive to the park, and I'm like in the back of the line. Like actually, it's like the full team in the back of the line. And I'm just like, oh my God, I was so impatient. I'm over here getting mad at my dad. Because I was at the church, and we weren't at the park early enough. And how come the other kids don't have to go to church, and I have to? So then the line's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And lo and behold, when I looked down on the ground, the last 2 jerseys available were 13 and 36.
That's so crazy.
And they're right next to each other. And I remember looking at that and being like, wow, And my dad kind of looked at me. He can even say this story is true. He looked at me. He's just like,
Well,
which
God's
one do you want?
faithfulness.
So I chose 13. So that was like a little baby story, but
Yeah.
Okay, at the risk of sounding like an absolute arse here, how is that an encounter with God? Is it that remarkable that 2 shirts were remaining? Since those numbers were available, statistically speaking, it is still probable that one of the 2 numbers was available. Less so that both numbers were available, but still not impossible. And also, why would a god choose to save 2 numbered shirts for a kid who wanted them over, say, stopping bone cancer in young children? Just a thought. And let's say you can't explain how the shirts remained. Why do you then get to fill the gap with God?
I would say the story that I really want to share is back in 2017.
Wouldn't you start with the best story?
I mean, quick background on me before I tell my whole story. Born and raised in the church, decided to turn away from God. Never had a relationship with God. Never tried to have a relationship with God. Had a lot of bitterness in my heart towards church people, I should say. And certain people that, you know, it kind of bothered me because of the stuff they did towards my family. So, you know, just human stuff, church people stuff. Started going down this huge wormhole of darkness, I should say.
Oh, shoot.
It's interesting to me that church culture in America has many stories like this, where people at the church did bad to another. I've heard so many accounts of this. Whether or not they're true is another matter. We might just skip the next section as it's talking about all the drinking and drug taking, but if you want to see the full video, the link is in the description.
Now that I think about it, I knew what I wanted was God at the end of it all, but I just didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to admit that.
Right.
I didn't want to admit that He was the one that I needed. I didn't want to admit that I was messed up. You know, sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, being messed up, and you have to come to terms with, like, you know what, I need change. I need change, and I didn't want to face it. I'd be a liar if I said that at that time I was like, oh, I have all these issues, I need to handle it. No, not at all.
On a side note, if you're struggling with addiction and recovery from a difficult time in your life, there are also secular programs to help you get through. I'll leave a link to all of those in the description.
I'm just gonna put it out there. There's a few times where I was just gonna kill myself. It was 2 really hardcore encounters. I wouldn't even say encounters. It was 2 really real moments that I was really gonna do this.
This is where it could potentially be where I look like a jerk for talking in this video. But I would like to point out that 2020 was a difficult year, and I have also felt in the same position. If ever you have suicidal thoughts, please reach out for help. Someone will always listen, and there are helplines to help you too.
Thought life got out of control. I was just convinced that everyone would be better that I wasn't here. I lost a total. I had no fear of God anymore. I didn't care. I was just so out of it.
Hearing I had no fear of God really made me feel sick. The only reason you didn't do some things is because you had a fear. Should fear of God be the reason we don't do things? I love God because He scares me. I pray every day because I worry what God might do if I didn't. What kind of a person scares you into doing good things?
I thought this was the only way to do it, to handle it. And there was just a few eerie times. I don't know if I should leave that for a testimony video. Really dark moments where I was going to do this, and just hearing voices, and it was out. I was out of my mind.
It's interesting in some cases that hearing voices in some situations makes a person out of their mind, and yet when someone claims to hear God, they're taken as completely sane. Something else to think about.
The Josh that I once was, he wasn't there anymore at all. I was a completely different person. But it all came down to September 11th, 2017. And that was the day. That was the day where I'd got the closest to killing myself. And it was a night of crazy drinking and crazy drugs. And I came home, I don't even know how. And I just flipped. The rage rage went crazy and destroyed the house.
Well, drugs can do that to a person. We'll skip the next part on, as apparently the next part was a bit too deep for YouTube.
And that's when the encounter happened. And my childhood started flashing before my eyes. And He just showed me that he was with me the whole time. And the dark moments and the good moments, I just told him, if you're real, then I need to feel you.
Okay, whilst I can accept that the emotion here is real, as people do feel overwhelmed in certain situations, can we really accept this as proof of God being real? How can we demonstrate that it was God giving him the feeling?
I saw gray for a long time. And then all of a sudden, this life came in the room. And I felt a hand on my shoulder.
Could it have been that you made yourself feel that way? How would you know it was a God?
I feel like I haven't heard this in a long time. It's been years I've heard this. I remember that, you telling me that. It's been years.
I felt his hand on my shoulder. This warmth came over me, and that cold, stone heart felt life again. And I just felt everything who he was.
It's tough seeing emotion like this, but how do you know the feeling was God? Could someone feel it was something else, other than a God? How could we tell who was right?
And he was real.
It's crazy.
I just told him thank you for showing himself to me.
So it seems as though a God didn't technically show itself, but that you had a feeling. Can we accept a feeling as evidence it was a God?
I just told him, I'm so hurt. I just felt him say, I know.
Felt him say, but didn't hear him say.
I know, but I was there. I just told him, I just want to change my life. It's just about life again, you know? I was seeing gray for a long time. I just felt life come over me. In that room that was so dark, I felt light in there.
But technically, there were still substances in your body if the story you told moments before was true. How could we tell if it was the substances inside making you feel like that, or if it was a God?
It's like I couldn't breathe for a long time. I just had a fresh breath. And there was like hope again. And from that moment, that was the one. That was the one that did it.
I hate to say it because you can see that he's full of emotion, but if that was the one thing that did it, where was the evidence that it was a God? I feel like he's not giving himself enough credit for realising something and course-correcting himself.
That was the one that did it, and I mean, after that, it was like the best few months of my life that I've had in a very long time.
And if it was a God, why wouldn't it make you have the best rest of your life? Why does it only give you a few months of happiness?
We were both so broken. Yeah, this is more of his story, but we were both so broken that it was only a God. It could have only been done by God.
And how do you know that? Why couldn't it have been life-fixing elves, course-correcting pixies, or, you know what, your husband making positive changes in his own life and he's actually stronger than he first imagined?
If you want an encounter with God, you just got to get to the end of yourself.
What does that mean?
And it's something that you carry every day. You know, it's a brokenness. You know, it's a brokenness.
So, the only way to encounter God now is by being absolutely broken and having nothing else. So, do those who aren't in that position but also have a belief in God not have a genuine belief?
And all that means is just being grateful. And he sees the heart above all else. He looks at the heart above everything else.
Oh, so now it's that we need to be grateful.
Try to work that. Just work. Do works, yada, yada, yada. Sure, faith without works is dead. But at the end of it all, he just wants your heart. If you can get your heart first, and then the rest will be ironed out.
Yeah.
The rest will be ironed out, but it all starts with him having your heart. You know, with him having your heart, and and truly giving your life to him and committing yourself to him.
Okay, let me just go back over these to check. You need to be broken and have nothing, be grateful, and let God have your heart. How would any of that demonstrate a God is real?
And choosing him. And it wasn't overnight. It was not overnight. It was not. I'm still not perfect. I never will be. Never will be. But man, I thank God that he has changed me from who I was that day. I mean, completely changed me. Completely. And it's been 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while. You know?
Yeah.
But we're a lot better off than what we were then.
Oh, man.
Did we make it? As far as I made it, and no. Did we do it on our own? No. We relied on his strength. And we allowed people to help us.
And there we go. We allowed people to help us. It's such a shame that folks give credit to something they can't prove is there, rather than the actual people that helped make a difference in their life.
We started listening to his Bible, listening to his word.
I mean, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to. How do you know that the Bible is the word of God without using the Bible to prove that it is? I've made many TikTok videos about this.
Putting it to practice and stop being selfish. Started thinking about others.
It's crazy.
That's what it is. And there is a selfish form of Christianity. Being religious is one of them. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. But also just keeping everything to yourself. Yeah. That's not it. That's why I have no problems making videos like this. I have no problems being blunt and sharing my story. There's nothing to be embarrassed about my story. Nothing. Mm-hmm. Nothing.
While I agree it's good to talk about struggles and ask for help, it could be taken as a little embarrassing to believe in something without any proof. I'm a jerk.
If you want that life change that we've both experienced and those encounters with God, we just want to encourage you to reach out to Jesus today.
Do you have his email or his phone number?
If you're watching this video and you say, I truly want that Jesus that they're talking about, I just want to give you the opportunity to just open your heart to him and say, Jesus, I need you. It's so simple.
It's that simple? Okay, let me try. Jesus, I need you! Well, that's as good a place as any to step away and have a think. Do you believe that anecdotes can prove God's existence? How would you have answered some of these statements? Let me know in the section below. And if you see any other videos on your journey, let me know and I'll have a look at them too. As for not accepting anecdotes as proof of how we can know a God, let's skeptic this video off the list. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.